Today on our show's focus on SMEs, Gerrie van Biljon, he's an Executive Director of Business Partners. He joins us now on the line to discuss SME funding options. Gerrie, good to have you with us. Just to touch on these funding options from a Business Partners perspective, paint a picture. What are the various avenues that one can approach and use here?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we need to acknowledge is that SME finance is a huge problem, not only in South Africa, but throughout the world. And financiers are sort of hesitant to actually finance SMEs. And this is where Business Partners is actually coming into the picture. And we've been financing SMEs for the last 33 years. And what we do is we finance SMEs anything from startup capital to expansion capital to property finance and restructuring of their debt, which would obviously include also franchising. So we are specifically there. We're not a bank, and we focus only on SMEs and the financing thereof.
It's interesting, you mentioned that you're not a bank, so if the banks are chasing some of these customers away and saying, I'm not willing to back you up on funding, how are you doing it? What's unique about your business model?
Yeah, what we do is we're not a security-based financier, and the focus is 100% on viability. So we look at the business rather than the security to start off with. And when we talk about viability, there are two major components that we focus on. The first one would be on the business itself, and that includes issues such as the space in the industry, the profit history, the controls, the competition growth, etc. That's on the one hand. But then on the other side, we also talk about the evaluation of the entrepreneur, and that is probably one of the more important parts of it, and also probably the most difficult part, because it's not an exact science. You know, to evaluate a person to see whether they've got the doing skills, the management skills, the ability to run a business successfully is not so easy. But those two are the major components that we take into consideration. So we sit down with the entrepreneur at an early stage, first of all, to understand whether they comply with the basic criteria.
Gerrie, just to interject there, what's in it for Business Partners? How do you make your money at the end of the day? Do you take a stake in the company, or is there some kind of return on your initial investment?
What we do is there is interest payable, but we've also got other methods to actually improve the returns for Business Partners. When it comes to equity or a stake in a business, we mostly negotiate a stake when it comes to a property transaction, and not so much when it comes to the operating business, like, for instance, a franchise. We prefer the entrepreneur to have full control of the business, so we try and stay out of equity. It's only really in extreme cases, such as a venture capital type deal, where we feel there's huge upside potential, where we would actually negotiate a shareholding with a view of exiting it maybe in 5 years' time with the entrepreneur to a listed company or a public listing or whatever. So there are numerous ways that we can actually get our returns up. Sometimes we negotiate also a royalty, which we like to call a royalty, but it's just a percentage of the turnover, something similar to what a franchisor would charge.
Gerrie, just to close off with, we've also recently seen the appointment of SMEs Ministry being appointed following the recent elections in South Africa. The new government involvement, are you engaging with the state to find new viable methods to help boost small and medium enterprise development in South Africa?
Yes, absolutely. What we do is we would also like to assist where possible, because we feel that SMEs can make a huge difference in the lives of people out there, and can also play a major role in the economy and contributing towards the GDP. So yes, we will definitely would like, even on a more structured basis, get involved in guidance and advice, and also work with other role players to ensure that the size of SME sector in South Africa actually increases.
Well, we certainly hope it does increase. Thank you so much to Gerrie van Biljon. He's the Executive Director at Business Partners.